Paul. Yes. I was just reading this government brochure about those elected to office. Oh, and it's somewhat interesting that you have the responsibility of the finances of the community that elects you to office. Pooch. And then when I inform you of a crime, you decide that, well, we're just not going to enforce the laws. Now, yesterday I talked about that fraud of democracy where I'd like to have my money and I'd like to sue you. And your thought is, well, if I'm going to get sued, I'm going to fuck this guy over. The problem is that when I was a financial consultant, I spent a lot of time studying the different securities available. Common stock, preferred stock, treasury stock, and all the different bonds, municipal bonds, ooh, treasury bonds, corporate bonds, high yield bonds, international stocks. All the different investments that somebody might consider making because I wanted to be educated. And when you are in that industry of managing people's finances, about 90% of what I did was the knowledge that I had, and the more knowledge I had, the more power I had. Now, for those in office, you thought, well, I'd just come the money and I'd fill out the registration form whenever the fuck I wanted, and as long as the family supported me, I'd get into office, and then we'd just keep coming the money anytime we wanted. The problem with this reading the thoughts of a dog is it gave you a dog brain. Poach. Dogs don't really read that good. Now, they would think that they do, but they do not comprehend what they've read because every time they came, they lost their brains. Pooch. See, when you come somebody on you and then you come them off, and you come them on and you come them off, it's difficult to have one train of thought the whole time while in office. Now, I'm not telling you what the law doesn't say. I'm telling you what it does say. It does say that you cannot serve a respondent by an individual that is not authorized by law. You cannot have court hearings 50 days after issuing a temporary protection order. They're called temporary protection orders because you're only allowed 14 days. You can't make up bullshit about, well, I'm on vacation, or it's inconvenient for me, or I'm going to make up a story about a guy and I'm going to take his sons and say that he's crazy because I don't want to enforce the law. Now, you're come to find out family's really starting to upset me today because you're so fucking stupid as to think that this nation does not have to enforce its laws. The laws known as RCWs. Yes, the requirements of the Violence Against Women's Act, the Parental Kidnapping and Protection Act. Now, for some reason, you thought the election laws were arbitrary at your discretion. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Now, I'm going to look at this taxes. Yes. This is a brochure put out by those that are concerned about the literacy of those that get elected to office. And my thought is, well, if you don't understand the laws, this is a governing guide to financial literacy. Oh. Now, I happen to have been very involved in financial literacy, connecting money policy and priorities. See, when I was a financial consultant, and then I started my own financial business, and then I was a partner with a guy that did self-directed IRAs. Yes. Then I decided to be a commodity trading advisor and a loan officer. And then I experienced the credit crisis firsthand while watching the 10-year Treasury. Then I decided, well, this credit crisis is somewhat of an anomaly, isn't it? Hasn't happened since the Great Depression. Pow! You remember that quantitative easing? Well, I went to my office every morning at 5 a.m. by myself, and I sat there and I watched the whole fucking thing. Now, when you watch it on television, it's different than watching the tick, the actual movements of the 10-year Treasury. From when it began, I was actually registered as a commodity trading advisor. Must have been in 2007. We moved there, yes. Then self-directed IRAs, and then commodity trading advisor, and I spent a whole year working on a program of automated trading called the Wooden Triangle. You might have heard of John Wooden. He was UCLA's best coach. I mean, historical best coach. Yeah, won like 5 championships, and the guy was really, really good. I did read his biography about him. Yes. In fact, the Wooden Triangle was something that sat on my desktop every day as the screensaver. Yes. Well, you can put a picture on your desktop. Yes. And it has these different qualities of a leader and why it is that you'd want to be one of these athletes that played basketball for John Wooden. Yes. Now, some men, they do the same thing every day. I'm one of those types where he took his Bible to work every day. He wouldn't allow long hair. Yes. And he made the team play together whether they wanted to or not. Yes. And I think that most people in the United States, if they know of John Wooden and his coaching, would agree that he was really a fantastic coach. He instilled certain morals and values into his players. Well, I named my program training John Wooden, or the Wooden, Wooden triangle, because the intention was, yes, that the 10-year Treasury had historically, yes, traded very small amounts every day, and if it went above the 200-day moving average, it was going up, and it went down below the 200-day moving average, it was going down. Yes, it did not have erratic movements like I had seen while sitting in my office at 5:30 a.m. every fucking morning, watching the credit crisis happen and asking myself, why the fuck is this going on? Pooch. Now, as an individual that has worked alone for quite a few years after I was a financial consultant, I was more than able to manage my own finances, and then I found out that there was a very illiterate number of persons. I decided to get involved in financial literacy when I realized how stupid people are. Pooch! And as much as we dislike the thought of those having college and university degrees or those elected to office being stupid, I have personally experienced the illiteracy of Americans. Now, I wanted to educate those in retirement, ERISA laws, yes, corporations. Oh, did you know there's some personal liability for providing a defined benefit plan to any employee without educating them about how it works? Now, I was what you call a financial teacher, an individual that educates those in corporations about their liabilities according to ERISA laws for not educating, yes, their employees about how the plan actually works. Most people, they get a job, pow!